Personal Story segment tonight. I don't want to belabor this Dr. Tiller story, but there's been so much reaction from the left-wing media to our reporting on it that you should know what's going on. Latest was a View last week. Elizabeth Hasselbeck stuck up for us. Joy Behar, of course, sympathetic to Tiller. With us now, conservative author and pundit Ann Coulter, whose latest book is called Guilty: Liberal Victims and Their Assault on America. Now, I know you, Laura Ingraham, you, Michelle Malkin, do talk about abortion and write about it and discuss it. A lot of the right-wing men pundits never talk about it.
Right.
And I brought this up with Laura Ingraham, and she got annoyed with me, as she does. But it's the truth, is it not?
Yes, and you know how much it pains me to tell you this, Bill, but you have been magnificent on George Tiller to begin with, and magnificent on his murder.
Well, thank you.
And I noticed there haven't been a lot of people talking about it. I'd like to think it's because they're hungover from the Hooray, George Tiller is Dead party, but I think that's not it. I think people don't like talking about abortion, for one thing, and they're worried about liberals accusing them of being responsible because liberals have a peculiar cause and effect theory on these things.
Well, I'm not happy that George Tiller got murdered. I think that's terrible, and I said that flat out. I think the guy who did it's a domestic terrorist. I don't think it was a crime of murder. I think it was a terrorist act, and I feel bad for Tiller's family. I don't know them. I don't know what. But I reported accurately on Tiller.
Yes, you did.
For 6 years.
Yes,
because
you did.
He was involved with criminal investigations and finally a trial. And I wasn't surprised that the New York Times and other very liberal organizations supported him. I'm not surprised about that. But the attacks on me, I think, were made for one reason. They can't defend Tiller. Did you see the Salon.com interview here?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes,
she couldn't answer
online.
a very simple question.
Right.
Do fetuses, babies, whatever you want to describe them, in last term have any protections? Should they have any protections? She wouldn't answer. That's a key question.
No, that's why I think liberals are so hysterical about this. They are. Because generally they're on the pro-death side, whether it's abortion on demand, these late-term abortions that 80% of Americans oppose. I mean, this is infanticide,
72%.
What Tiller was doing. Well, there are different polls. I've seen
80%. 72 is the acknowledged stat.
Oh, but even by liberals. Okay, they're for infanticide, they're for, Kevorkian. So in this one case, they're finally against someone dying, a man responsible for killing 60,000 babies. And why conservatives aren't talking about it? Because abortion is sort of a gross thing, especially the ones he was
but
doing.
I really don't get that, though. Because it's...
I agree with you. I talk about it.
You have an opportunity to persuade Americans who aren't ideological, all right? Because most Americans aren't. You bring them and you say, look, here's one of the 4 doctors in the country doing this. There aren't any others. And here's the evidence that the state of Kansas has compiled to show the man was doing it for the most casual of reasons.
Well, he was doing it for the money.
Okay. But the left will tell you it's for the health of the mother. That's what they'll tell you, okay?
Yes.
Sometimes it is, but most of the time it isn't.
No.
In Australia, I don't know whether you know this, but in the state of Victoria, where Melbourne is, they now have a law where you can kill any fetus at any time for any reason up until birthing. That's what the secular progressives want in America.
Well, apparently this one random nut who shot Tiller, I don't really like to think of it as a murder. It was terminating Tiller
he was a
in
murderer.
the 203rd trimester.
But you can't diminish what that killer did, or you have anarchy.
I am personally opposed to shooting abortionists, but I don't want to impose my moral values on others.
Okay. But
if
you can't.
If you don't
it's
believe
an
in shooting
anarchy
abortionists,
situation.
then
You
don't
must
shoot an
must
abortionist.
have a society, or will collapse, that has
Okay,
laws.
their logic is if you don't believe in abortion, don't have an abortion. If you don't believe in shooting abortionists, don't shoot an abortionist. No, their logic is always for death.
You're talking about the left.
I'm talking about the not the far left, the pro-abortion liberals. That's pretty much the Democratic Party, Bill.
Well, I haven't heard
beyond
any Democrats come out and support me in this. Not one. But I haven't heard many Republicans either. Now, the last question is, if you want to persuade Americans that traditional values, conservative thought, is best for the country, and that's what you want to do, I think, why not take something this barbaric and not go crazy, but just bring it to their attention? Why ignore it? I think they're afraid, some of these conservative
They are afraid.
guys.
They are afraid, and it's crazy to be afraid. I mean, you talk about the New York Times, of course, they're talking about, the right wing inspiring this murder. Well, they don't talk about Islam inspiring 9/11. To the contrary, immediately after 19 Muslims shouting Allah Akbar killed 3,000 Americans, we were bombarded with the information that most Muslims are peaceful and we're worried about hate crimes against Muslims. Well, okay, pro-lifers are demonstrably peaceful.
Yes, absolutely.
80% of 300 million Americans oppose the kind of abortion Tiller was performing, and yet there have only been 5 abortion doctors.
And this guy was a terrorist.
Killed in 35 years.
He had a long history of